Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lee Marie and I teach you how to. Today's video is number 2 in our Wholesale to Retailers series. Today's video is all about the 5 questions you need to ask yourself before you even think of pitching to a retailer. And for the purposes of this video series, when I say retailer, I'm talking about a nationwide retailer or a very large retailer. This advice will be focused on those kinds of retailers. So we're talking about like Target, Macy's, Whole Foods, Nordstrom's, retailers like that. So in case any of you are wondering, like what does she know about this? Currently I do have a partnership with Whole Foods and my candles are in their stores. Last year I was also part of the workshop at Macy's, and so I worked with Macy's and Bloomingdale's and their wholesale teams as well. And I worked with buyers. So I am pretty well versed in kind of the relationship between nationwide retailers and vendors. So I'm basically just giving my insight of what I've learned and trying to give you the tips so that you can succeed and get your products into nationwide retailers. Okay, so I have compiled 5 questions that you should ask yourself as a brand owner or as the owner of your company that you need to ask yourself before you even pitch or talk about pitching to a retailer. Number 1, do you have a brand identity? And this may seem kind of like redundant, or people are, of course I have a brand. Well, do you actually have a brand to pitch? Do you have a brand story, a brand voice? Is your brand cohesive on your website, your packaging, your socials? Is your brand voice cohesive? What is your brand story? That's one that a lot of retailers are going to ask you. They're going to ask you, why did you start this company? What is it that inspires you? Why did you decide on, this particular line? Or what is it that makes your brand special? Make sure that before you even think about talking to a nationwide retailer, you know your brand identity, your brand story. You already know why you started your company and what your company has to offer that would benefit the retailer. The second question to ask, and this one is also super important, is the particular retailers that you're looking to get into. Is their ideal customer your ideal customer? You need to make sure that the retailers that you are pitching to and applying for, that you guys share the same ideal customer. For example, if your brand is super luxurious and high-end, you have expensive materials, your packaging is luxurious, chances are you're not going to want to pitch to Walgreens or Dollar General or Walmart. It's not really your demographic. By the same token, if your brand is all about affordability and you use less expensive materials and fragrances and things like that, then chances are you're not going to want to pitch to a Nordstrom's, a Neiman Marcus, or a Bloomingdale's. So make sure that the retailer that you are, trying to attract and you're pitching to aligns with your ideal customer. For me, my ideal customer, because my brand is very sustainable, it's all about being eco-friendly, my ideal customer is the same customer as Whole Foods. Whole Foods brand is built on a mission of sustainability and eco-friendliness. So for us, it is a fantastic partnership because we both share the same kind of brand ethos. Number 3 is a big one that I am very passionate about. Is your packaging professional? When you are pitching to a major retailer, they want to purchase from indie brands. They really do. They're looking for independent small brands, but it needs to look professional. Do your labels look like you printed them off at home, or do they look professional? Do you have boxes? Do your boxes look professional? Or do they look kind of those blank ones that are mass purchased and you stuck a sticker on them? Or are they printed professionally? These things make a big difference when it comes to a retailer picking you up. Having the right packaging matters because you need to think about a few things when it comes to being on a national level with retailers. Is how's your product going to look on the shelf? How is it going to compete with the other items on the shelf? Because one thing that's very important that you need to know is you're going to be competing for space on a shelf. And believe me, everybody wants to be on that shelf. So if you're competing for space on a shelf, how does your product, the packaging and labeling and everything, compare to others? How do you stand out? How does is your product unique? Does it look unique? Another thing you need to think about is with your packaging is you're going to be shipping that to many stores, hopefully. So have you thought about how you're going to package it for shipping? Glass is more heavy than aluminum. Now, when I was thinking about what I wanted to pitch to Whole Foods, I thought about that and I said to myself, I want to do my aluminum tins, my gold tins. And the reason for that is I didn't want to have to worry about breakage. I also wanted my packaging to be able to be stacked. If you have these beautiful, glass vessels, okay, they're beautiful and they're unique, but one, you got to worry about breakage. Two, you have to worry about things like, can they be stacked? On a shelf, if it's tall enough, my candles can be stacked, in twos or even threes, where maybe your product, even though your vessel's beautiful, can't be stacked at all. So less of your candles are out, while lots of my candles are out on the same shelf. So I have lots of product out, you have a little product out. Things like that you have to think about. You have to worry about shipping concerns of breakage and how heavy it's going to be. All those things matter when putting your products on a shelf. So be sure to think through your packaging and what it's going to look like on a shelf. How's it going to stand out? Does it look professional? And definitely think in terms of shipping. I know we all want to do those big, beautiful glass containers and all that, but those are heavy. And not every retailer pays for your shipping. There are retailers out there where you have to pay the shipping to get it to the store. So those are definitely things that you have to think about when you're coming up with the perfect packaging and labeling to not only stand out on a shelf, but to have a successful run with a nationwide retailer. The next question that you need to ask is, what products am I pitching? The last thing you want to do is, if you have a retailer's attention or if you want to get their attention, is pitch to them every single product that you have. If you have 20 products, 30 products, saying, oh yes, I make candles, we have 36 different fragrances. That's going to be overwhelming to a buyer. What you want to do is either take a signature line or maybe a package product. So for example, if you do skincare, it would be like the cleanser, the toner, a serum, and a moisturizer. Some sort of either package or a signature line with maybe 4 to 6 fragrances, and pitch them that. Pitch whatever your best-selling products are, but make sure it's something cohesive. It's a line. They don't want to just hodgepodge, one thing here and one product from there and one from. They want cohesive lines that they can give to their customers. So when you're trying to choose the products, make sure that they're products that you can think of, like I said, as your signature line or your best sellers or something in a package. That's going to be more attractive to a retailer than if you say, I have all these products, which ones do you want? They're not going to go for that. It's too overwhelming for them. You need to be direct in exactly what you want to pitch them and why it needs to be on their shelves and why it's going to benefit you both to have a partnership. The last question you need to ask yourself, and this is by far the most important question to ask: can you handle that opening order? So let's say you did everything right, your packaging is beautiful, you have a brand identity, you pitched to a retailer that aligns with your brand and your customers are the same. You thought about your signature line or whatever package it may be, they went for it. And now you have an order for 5,000 candles. Can you handle that? Do you have the money to pay for that initial order? Because you have to pay for everything up front. You're never going to get payment up front from a retailer, especially a major one. You always will get paid later. So you need to think about, do you have the thousands of dollars it's going to cost to fulfill that opening order? Do you have the time to make that production work? Do you have the ingredients to be able to make that production work? Because one thing I will tell you with my experience with major retailers is they have contracts, they have deadlines, and you need to stick to the deadline. So, and a lot of the times they don't give you much time. They'll say August 1st, we need 2,000 candles, and your due date will be 2 weeks from that. In 2 weeks, can you fulfill 2,000 candles? Do you have the money to pay for all of the ingredients that you're going to need and all of the supplies? And can you get that production order done in 2 weeks or whatever time frame they give you? Again, when you're dealing with nationwide retailers, they are very strict about their deadlines, and it's very clearly written in contracts. If you don't meet deadlines, they have every right to cancel a contract. And you don't want that to happen. You don't want to ruin or tarnish your chance with a nationwide retailer. So like I said, to me, it's the most important question that you have to ask yourself is, do you have the money and the time and the supplies for that opening order? Because it's going to come quick. Once you're onboarded, and I will talk about that in another video, kind of the process that you go through after the initial email or call of, yes, let's try a partnership. I will go through all of the steps and finally getting into stores. Once you've gone through all that, they'll give you that opening order. You're not going to have a lot of time to fill it. You need to be prepared. And like I said, you need to make sure that you have enough money to pay for an order of that size. You have enough time to do an order, to produce an order of that size. Because chances are, if you're like me and you do this all by yourself, which a lot of us do, it's going to take a lot of work to fulfill an order that big. It's not easy to make 5,000 candles in 2 weeks. So keep that in mind. Make sure that when you're ready to pitch to a retailer, that you're going to either have the funds, know somewhere you can get the funds, save up for it, but make sure that you've got the money so you can pay for that opening order. Another thing to keep in mind that a lot of people don't think about with that opening order, like I mentioned before, not all retailers will pay your shipping. Some retailers will upfront pay for the shipping of the products. Some retailers will reimburse you a portion of the shipping, and some retailers, you have to pay the shipping. So if you have that huge opening order and you've got like 80 boxes that need to ship out, that shipping is on you, and that could be thousands of dollars. So again, be prepared. Make sure you have sufficient funds to pay for that opening order and possibly the shipping of that opening order. Like I said before, I wanted to create this video series because I want you to be able to pitch to national retailers and have lots of success. I want you to overcome any hurdles that you might face and give you as many tips as possible and information as possible so that you are successful. I want to see your products in lots of stores. But, you know, it's a lot of things I wish people would have told me. There's a lot of learning curves that I had, you know, in dealing with national retailers that you just don't know. The information is not out there. So I am trying to give you as much information as possible so that you can be confident when you're pitching to retailers. And if they choose you, which I hope they do, then you can be confident in onboarding and fulfilling your orders with that retailer to have a fantastic partnership and much success for your business. Be on the lookout for video number 3 in this series. And again, in that video, I will take you through the process of contacting the buyer initially, and then everything that goes through, all of the steps that go through until you see your product in stores. That's the next video. Be on the lookout for it. And as always, I will see you next time. Bye.